It's music from Top of the Pops in half an hour. First on BBC1, roly-poly comedy from the lovable Les Dawson.
If a picture paints 1,000 words, why can't I paint you? Words will never show you I've come to know. If a face could launch 1,000 ships, where am I to go? It's only you to go. You're all that's left now. One by one, the stars would all go out, and you and I would simply fade Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for allowing me in your wonderful homes. In an attempt to bring a soup song of amusement, to lighten the shadows of mundane reality. Firstly, I should like to thank the BBC for allowing me to work here. Secondly, to thank the wife and kids for making it necessary. But the biggest vote of thanks must go to my parents. For that brief moment of indiscretion all those years ago behind a brewery. Which resulted in me being here now. How they loved me, Mummy and Daddy. When I was born, Mother was so overjoyed, the midwife had to slap her to stop her from screaming. Daddy was such fun to be with. He was always up to mischief. When I was christened, he put piranha fish in the font.
Good evening. My name is Zebediah Twine, Estropolitan Extraordinaire. As I for the first time on this stage, I went to form a death-defying feat that I learned from a monk in Tibet. I will say I'm so shackled, and the only way I can escape is by my own dexterity. Otherwise, if I fail to loosen my bonds, I will plummet into a tank containing large quantities of piranha fish from Brazil. Carnivorous little creatures which can strip the flesh from the bone in 30 seconds. My assistant Brenda will demonstrate the veracity of these creatures with the leg of lamb. Leg of lamb, Brenda, please. Brenda, get the leg of lamb. Get the leg of lamb, get it. These are the most incredible creatures. We'll now be demonstrated when they put the leg of lamb in the water. As I say, I've only got 30 seconds to release myself from bondage, otherwise I'll face up like that. My assistant Brenda will now assist me to get shackled to my harness prior to going into the sack. Thank you, love.
first time that my parents took me away to the seaside for a holiday, I was only 5 years old. They took me in a boat and rowed out to sea, and they lowered me gently over the side. I think in an effort to make me to learn to swim. And then they rowed away. It wasn't difficult to learn to swim. The hardest part was getting out of the sack.
There was an old farmer called Burke who pulled up his cart with a jerk, and his load of manure was most insecure. He was up to his neck in his work. Thank you, Doctor. Are the suppositories the same length? Well. Sissy! Fancy seeing you at the doctor's.
Well, yes.
Is it the old trouble?
What trouble?
Woman's trouble. Last year when you said you might have to have an hysterical rectomy.
No, it's not that. No, that cleared up after the manipulation.
Oh.
Mind you, I don't feel very well. In fact, if I put my mind to it, I could be very ill indeed.
Oh?
No, it's not me I've come about, actually. I've come on behalf of Leonard.
Oh, help me God, what's up with the lad?
Well, it's his verruca. You know he's got a very big one.
Fancy.
I mean, he can hardly get his shoe on for it. What about you, Chuck?
Oh, I don't feel so bad in myself, you know. I've got this cluster of varicose veins at the back of my leg. I shall have to have them pulled through Bupa.
I was just thinking he looked a trifle wan.
Well, let's face it, you know, I'm at a funny age. I wouldn't tell another living soul this, of course. I'm approaching the change.
Approaching the change? From which direction?
What do you mean?
Well, I would have thought your batteries had run out years ago.
I'll have you know that my family has a tradition of fertility. We're a very fertile family. Very fertile. My cousin Bertha got copped when she was 59. And she swears she only walked past a sausage factory. Our Miriam came here for an X-ray, and to find where the blockage was, he gave her a Bavarian meal.
You mean barium?
No, she kept her brown and knickers on. Well, I came because I've got the most... I can tell you can't.
Oh, my lips are sealed.
I've got the most peculiar complaint. Every winter I get very heavily chapped legs, especially on the inner thigh. And it's very embarrassing when I'm wearing a hoorah skirt with a handkerchief hem. Now, I've tried rubbing myself with algae pan. Doesn't seem to work. And this happens every time the clocks go back. Well, I've been in to see him today, Dr. Patel, wonderful. And he cured my chapped legs in 5 minutes.
Right, did he give you an injection?
No, he took 2 inches off me Wellington boots.
I went to the doctor last week. I said, can I have some sleeping pills for the wife? He said, why? I said, she's woke up. My wife is a very beautiful woman with a very interesting left eye. The right one keeps looking at it. She can be full of changes and surprises. The other morning she gave me breakfast in bed. It slid off the plate when she threw it. I didn't mind. There was something strangely erotic about poached egg on quilt. I know why she was annoyed I'd spilt cocoa down the front of a nightdress. Served me right for wearing it. She stood there framed in the doorway like an outraged raccoon. And she had this come-to-bed look about her. She took her teeth out. You see, I haven't spoken to the wife for 5 years. It's not that we've had a row, it's just I'm not quick enough to interrupt.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh,
I'm asking the average man in the street what he knows about...
I say, you're not Esther Ranson, are you?
No, I'm afraid I'm not.
Oh, what a pity. I've got great admiration for her, you know. I'm so impressed by her intelligence. The way she rails against the bureaucrats and the establishment. The way she takes up the sword in defense of the little man. Apart from that, you know, not many people know that she's got a great pair of knuckles.
I'm sorry, I'm not Esther Ranson, but I would like to know what you know about coupling rods, distributor shafts, and big ends. And cams.
Ooh, coming knickers.
And rear chassis.
Rear chassis, bounce up and down. Ooh, boom, jelly on the plate. Come here. No, don't leave me.
Load of informality here, ladies and gentlemen. It's the part of the show you've all been waiting for. And of course, Melody Hour. Now, normally, I play a tune which we could all join in with, one of the old love songs, but tonight I'd like to talk in terms of classical rendition. I was thinking more in terms of the Fowls Pavane for Infante de Funk, which is a wonderful thing. The Fowl was a much maligned composer. A lot of problems. But tonight I'd like to explain something about the song I'm about to play. It's Rafale's Pavane for Infante Defunct. Many people believe it's a Roman remedy for piles, but it's not. It's a wonderful song, and I think Rafale deserves everything he can get out of it. Surely about that. Sorry about this. When one talks in terms of Ravel as a composer, you must always remember end of series Jeeps. Ravel was a very small man. Isn't he? One thing we're too modest of in this country is our food, British food. Because when people think of cooking, they think of French cuisine. It's muck. Muck, muck, muck. Who in their right mind would ever eat frog's legs? What horrifies me is what happens to the rest of the frog. Is it doomed to spend the rest of its time in the kitchen, pushing itself round on casters? It's only pleasure jumping down on his head. Still, it could be worse. We could be talking about fried prawn balls.
Dr. Jekyll.
Oh, no.
Ah, nice to see you again.
How nice to see
Your
you, too.
usual table, of course.
Yes, how nice of you to remember.
Would you care for an aperitif?
Yes, I think I will have a dry sherry, if I may.
Certainly, monsieur. Francois,
Aye?
one dry sherry for Dr. Jekyll, table number 5.
Number 5.
The most valued customer and a charming man.
Oh.
And this is your last chance.
Now hold fast, Frog. It weren't my fault last night.
Not your fault. Addressing the great Oscar Wilde like that.
Well, somebody said as how he had a sense of humour. All I could said was, hello, Jessie Wilde. That were all. It was a joke.
One dry sherry for Dr. Jekyll and no jokes.
All right, all right. Yeah, good evening, Dr. Jekyll. I hope the sherry is just dry enough for you. His face! There's someone up with him. He's like a Labrador.
Imbecile. I shall take him the sherry.
Well, I'm telling you, his face is...
I said. Dr. Jekyll, 1,000 apologies.
Ah, thank you. And I'll have a bottle of the Chambertin.
But of course, Francois, 1 bottle of Chambertin for Dr. Jekyll. And would you care to order, monsieur?
Yes, I think I will have some of your delicious mulligatawny soup, and then I will plump for the wild duck flambé to follow.
But of course. Francois, remember, you are dealing with a gentleman, so none of your droppings.
I think I'm a loose pheasant. Here's your wine, Dr. Jekyll. I think you'll be rather amused by its playfulness. It has a sort of raspberry tang that is very pleasing to the nose, subtly balanced, of course, by the chalkiness in the body, redolent of the lower slopes of the Arno. I hope it's to your liking, sir. A little too dry for you, was it?
A couple of weeks ago, I went into the Savoy to get an estimate for gin and tonic. And there was a little man in the Savoy Grill in the inner sanctum there with a flat cap and a whippet under his arm. They said to the head waiter, "Hey, come here, pal. Come here." The head waiter drifted over rather like a bank of fog. It's what the devil's the matter with you, idiotic northern cretin? You product of industrial waste. How dare you talk to me like that? Hey, shall I can't eat the soup? Listen, do you realise you're in the Savoy? This is the very hallowed sanctum of the gourmet. People wax eulogies over our turkey vol au vents. And you pathetic cretin, you sit there and you have the audacity to criticise the soup. Now, before I pitch you out neck and crop into the gutter from whence you sprang, why can't you eat the soup? You said, I haven't got a spoon.
Here you are, Dr. Jekyll. Here is some of your delicious mulligatawny soup.
Everything all right? Oh, one more bottle of Chambertin for Dr. Jekyll. And his main course is ready, so be quick.
To save time.
Everything all right, monsieur?
Well, Armand, you know how I hate to cause a scene, but I don't appear to have had my Chambertin. Or my soup.
What are you doing?
Well, it's him. He's something out of the Black Lagoon. There's nothing wrong with my man since I saw him. He's a lunatic. He could be an arsonist as well, for all I know.
You idiot. Come here. Come here. Look.
I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at you.
Look. Is that a monster? Is that a raving lunatic?
Well, I saw him, it's all.
My apologies, Dr. Jekyll. Francois will fetch you your delicious wild duck flambé. And I myself will bring you the last bottle of Chambertin.
I don't know what to say, Dr. Jekyll. Anyway, it's been a funny day, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Weather's a lot better, but there's a depression over the Urals. Would you like your duck off the bone? Would you like...
suppose it's not the time to ask for a reference. You can deal with this one.
It was a good do, apart from Bert's relatives.
I can only apologise humbly. Vandals. They get complaints from Gyps. Did you see his cousin Miriam? Did you see the way she went at my mutton pate? You know, she stripped the willy pattern off the plate. Look at that. Present from Bogda, this one. And look at it now. I've got two Japanese lovers in midair with no bridge.
Was she the one in the blue two-piece with the broidery anglais and the mucky underskirt?
Ooh, I would like to see her bedding. Filth. You see their living room? They've even got mud guards on the Hoover. And the kitchen did his grace. There's so many cobwebs, it looks as though it's been backcombed. You know, she's absolutely no control over those three children of hers.
No.
That little Sebastian, I could have strangled him. Did you see what he tried to do to our cat with his junior do-it-yourself doctor's outfit?
Vicious little yobbo.
Exactly.
Oh, he didn't harm little Fleance, did he?
Oh, no. No, the only trouble is that we're not really sure about this. Because the cat's still on the gable end with its legs crossed. They should never buy children presents like that.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's disgraceful. I mean, all I ever got when I was a child was a whip and a top and an orange in my stocking.
Oh, they've got one in Masterplast.
Oh, I think it's disgraceful. Mind you, you take our Ralph. Now, even when he was in long trousers, he only had a dinky.
It's a novelty.
Used to get hours of enjoyment from it, though, you know, up in his bedroom.
Oh, yeah. Probably was lonely.
Mind you, that was until, of course, the paint chipped off through him banging it against the skirt.
Help me God.
I mean, they weren't cheap, you know, dinky cars.
Jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh. Oh! Jingle bells. Granted.
I do beg your pardon, lady. I think it must have been the turkey. You know, it was the stuffing. It was a bit too rich. What did you stuff it with, Chuck?
I didn't have to bother, it was already full. Some years ago, I went through a pretty bad time. In fact, things were so bad, I went to give a pint of blood and it bounced. In those days, I wasn't in show business. I was working for British Rail. The Buffy, Station Buffy and crew. I was a meat pie reviver. Funny enough, that's where I met the wife. She was working in a discount store in Crewe, and I went in to buy a lampshade. And there was something about the way she was stood behind the counter with the sunlight dappling the dandruff on her shoulders. And hairs on a wart. And I said, "Excuse me, miss, what will you take off for cash?" She said, "Everything by my earrings." In the winter of that year we got married, I always remember it was bitterly cold. In fact, it was so cold outside the church, brass monkeys were lagging one another. And we went through pretty lean times. The wife lost her job. It was unfortunate. She couldn't avoid it. She got rheumatism in her shoulder and she couldn't throw the harpoon properly. And things were pretty bad. We couldn't pay the rent. In fact, the arrears were ticked off in the doomsday book. I always remember the furniture was thrown in the street so often we had the loose covers made to match the pavements. And we lived in lousy digs. They were filthy. Well, you can tell what they were like. Every time we dropped a piece of coal on the carpet, it left a white mark. Twice a week, vandals used to break in and decorate it. And then things improved. I got a job as an actor. It was my first job in show business as an actor. I was in that television saga, Upstairs, Downstairs. You never saw me. When I was upstairs, the cameras were downstairs. And then I toured America in Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. I played the part of Bottom, obviously, with my rotundity, and well, the Americans raved over it. They couldn't do enough for my Bottom. In Chicago, they wouldn't let me walk anywhere. Every night after the show, big fellas used to come backstage and say, "We've come to take the bum for a ride." Then I got my big break. A restoration melodrama of the old Vic. I only had 2 words to say. The words were, "It is." For 3 months at my agent's office where he cleans, I used to stand there and I used to rehearse. It is. It is. It is. It is. The opening night dawned. The auditorium was hushed into expectancy. Cigar smoke hung above the audience like garlands. There was a nervous, almost pathetic desire for people to be involved in this production. One could sense the very outset. The auditorium lights began to dim. Curtains opened. I strode onto the podium with my doublet and hose and my dirk. And I stood in the spotlight and I said, "Is it?" The manager came backstage and said, "You're fired." Well, I said, "You can't fire me. I know the part backwards."
Next Friday at 7, Big Break Special. Jim and John are back for more tricky shots on the green cloth. Up next on BBC One, Lisa Stansfield opens Top of the Pops.
Saturday night on BBC1, and it's a meeting of the minds for Superman at 6:20, while Dale helps match the mates in the other half.
I love you.
What are you doing later?
Hopefully he's washing his hair.
It's the National Lottery Live at 7:45 with guest presenter Adam Woodyard, Mystic Megan Stonehenge, and music from Lakeisha Berry, plus a jackpot estimated at £8 million. Then at 8:05, there's more crystal ball gazing.
Your life is split between 2 powerful forces struggling for control over you.
Well, cross my palm with silver.
It's a spiritual thing for DL and Pascoe. Saturday night on BBC1.
A bird's eye view of dramatic crimes in half an hour, keeping track from the chopper in X-Cars. Hitting the music first on BBC1, Friday night, 7:30, and the UK's hottest tunes.
Turn it up, push your chairs back. It's time to dance in front of your telly. It's Top of the Pops.